community. Thank you for the donors. Thank you for the networks. Thank you for the friends. Thank you for keeping our souls so full and our hearts so happy. Mabruk, congratulations to all of you.
Thank you, Sylvia. Sylvia is one of the board members here at Hope House. So I want to wish everyone a good afternoon. My name's Jaya James, and I'm the director here at Hope House. And I'm so glad you're here with us to celebrate. Those who know me know that celebration is one of my more challenging things to do. I'm much more of a doer and a task-oriented person, but it's so important that we take the time to celebrate. And as we gather, I do want to take some time to reflect on accessible spaces and the importance of them. And often when we're thinking of accessible spaces, we think about them from a very much a physical accessibility standpoint. But one of the realities is that there's lots of spaces within our community that not only are inaccessible for those who have different physical abilities, but there's spaces that are inaccessible based on your income levels, and there's spaces that are inaccessible based on cultural backgrounds and other things. And so it's so critical that we create these spaces in our community where everyone is welcome. And so a key part of Hope House's mission is to be a community space where everyone belongs, where everyone has dignity, where everyone can come together. And that's why this building is so important to our work. We are open during the day for people to seek shelter, kinship, friendship, and kindness. And one of the things I love about Hope House is that when you walk into this building, you can feel the positive energy right away. And I'm not sure if it's the beautiful skylights or all the different windows that let in the sun, or if it's the conversations you hear happening around the cafe tables, or if it's the fact you see volunteers interacting with other individuals and both groups are helping each other out. But there always seems to be this really positive vibe in a space where, in theory, some might think because of the challenges that individuals are experiencing coming in, there might not be that. And so I find here hope, and I find joy, and I find strength. And this is the power of Hope House, that despite the realities of supporting a community who are facing intolerable challenges, where one might not expect joy and hope, there seems to be both in abundance. So poverty can happen suddenly, and we've all really seen this in the last couple of years. And many of us, I think, can have stories that we remember where our families overcome and move forward and we're able to move out of poverty. And that's why it's so important we have spaces where people can be supported as they continue their journey towards their full potential, whatever that may be. For some individuals, that is the ability to be all on their own, employed, and other individuals, it does look different. And that's why your support to purchase and renovate this building was so important. It's the ideal location for this work. It's walkable to many, it's accessible via local transit, and it's in the heart of Guelph's vibrant downtown. And now with a permanent home, people can be assured that these services will continue here. So right now in Guelph and the surrounding areas, we know that 1 in 3 people feel like they cannot fully participate in our community, whether that's in their school, work, play, whatever it is, because of physical and mental challenges. And this has increased from 1 in 4 from pre-pandemic. And at Hope House, we believe every person matters. We believe that belonging to a healthy, encouraging, compassionate community allows people to overcome the challenges they face and reach their full potential. And that's why we work so hard here to create this space where everyone can belong. And as a poverty relief agency, we know that financial insecurity, food insecurity, social isolation, all these things are interconnected and more. And thanks to the support of you, we've been able to provide and offer innovative services, like in partnership with 5 Star Relationships, Andrea is at the back there for those who know her, counseling services, and food markets. We have other groups providing so many other things in partnership with us too, and those who are able to go on tours today, we look forward to showing that to you. So as a 100% community-funded charity, we know this work is a collaborative effort. Every day at Hope House, we witness the power of Guelph community supporting each other. We witness local businesses, service clubs, schools, faith communities, and individuals donating their time and resources and not expecting anything in return. But more than that, we see them enjoying themselves, getting to know people better, and leaving Hope House feeling better about the community they're a part of. And so thanks to this community in the last 12 months, over 1,300 households have access to dignified services such as food and clothing and support navigating systems. Over 1,600 children have had access to fully stocked backpacks so they were ready for school. And over $500,000 of food and groceries have been distributed. You made this happen. Hope House is a community where you can belong, be treated with dignity, and encouraged to find, develop, and share your skills. Through the programs and services offered here, people are discovering their full potential. Each month, we see people gain confidence, find employment through the support of the Hope House community. So we thank you for being part of that community, for the support you provided to the community members that are struggling to find their footing. We welcome you to Hope House today, and on behalf of the board, the staff, the volunteers, and the community we serve, we offer you thank yous that outnumber the stars. So it is my pleasure to welcome Bob Moore and introduce him today. And Bob is well known in this community for his generosity. Bob has served on numerous boards, volunteered in numerous spots, educated lots and lots of children, including some adults who sometimes behave like children. But Bob has also done all these things at Hope House and more. Bob was on our board when we first started. Bob was a volunteer extraordinaire. And then when we had a couple little bumpy times, Bob's pretty much filled every single staff position we've had at Hope House in a kind and gracious manner. And so I can think of no one who's better to give us a recap of the last 10 years. Bob.
Thank you, Jaya. So yes, I've been asked to give a brief history of Hope House, the first 10 years, and but first a disclaimer. I probably left some details and people out of this account, and may even have some of my facts wrong. For this, I apologize. I'll blame it on being Irish. The Irish never let the facts get in the way of a good story. Hope House started out as the community cupboard at Lakeside Bible Church up on Conservation Road. The major players in the community cupboard were Karen Campice, who ran the cupboard, Brian Bolger, who was the community pastor, and Dave Ralph, who was the head pastor. Various congregational members assisted them with various dimensions of the cupboard. Much of the need for the cupboard was generated by participants in Brian Bolger's other main duty, which was Celebrate Recovery, a 12-step program similar to Alcoholics Anonymous. But wherever there are free resources available to the public, the demand will grow. Around 2010, the vision grew from a community cupboard, which really was just a cupboard and a cooler up at Lakeside, to an independent agency that would meet many of the needs and would operate from a central location in the city. As the leaders sought a venue for this agency, they became aware that Norfolk United Church, the building, was coming up for sale. In February of 2012, a local newspaper announced that Norfolk Street United Church and Lakeside Church had reached an agreement of sale that would see Lakeside pay $1 million for the 156-year-old limestone structure at the corner of Cork and Norfolk in downtown Guelph. Norfolk United began as a congregation 175 years before that. Dave Ralph was quoted as saying, "We get to have a fantastic facility to do some great things in the city and bring care to the inner city of Guelph." Hope House was registered as an independent charity on April 4th, 2012. As I understand it, the offer was conditional on Lakeside having the money in time to close the deal. The transaction did not come to the congregation for approval in the usual sense of a vote by ballot. David Ralph presented the offer to the congregation to be voted on by check. If enough people would sign or pledge a check for $1,000 within the next 3 weeks, then that was the show of support needed to close the deal. Pretty bold, pretty brassy stuff, I'd say. There were some very big backers who had come in up front with about a quarter of the price, but the majority of the $1 million came in one check or pledge at a time. By May 2012, Lakeside Church lead pastor Dave Guelph announced that the deal would close on June 29th at a purchase price of $1 million. He said the money's been raised, a building inspection completed, and the sale approved by church authorities. The deal did close, and the Lakeside Church congregation swooped in with buckets and mops and paintbrushes. Consultants, I know Kim Rogers was one of them, with an eye for color, drew the palette, and the paint was purchased and applied accordingly. I remember painting the wooden trim around the windows in what is now the clothing market. I was working alongside Rob Campice. Many volunteers came and went, but I suspect that Rob almost lived here during those renovation stages. The goal was to be open for September 2012. As the building neared readiness, special rooms like the food market got equipped and the shelves got filled. J.P. Valeria became the operations manager to support Karen Campice as executive director. Certain key volunteers like Kevin Lowry spent many hours helping Hope House to get off the ground. Mary Crome joined the staff not too much later as a support worker. Most of the early board members were members or staff at Lakeside. Dave Ralph, of course, Bill Lansborough, Janice Kronkovic, Gord Barr, and there was one who wasn't from Lakeside. I don't know how she got involved. Eleanor Davidson. I saw her car out there, and I see her at the back, and was also on the early board. Some members of the board came and went, but Gord Barr and Eleanor Davidson have continued to serve in that capacity, and many other roles too. When the news first started circulating that Lakeside was opening Hope House, there was some apprehension on the part of the existing charitable agencies in downtown Guelph. I think they were somewhat taken aback by the evangelistic fervor with which Dave Ralph approached any project he was leading. As the dust settled, Hope House showed that it was not a sermon first and then the sandwich kind of agency, and that it could and would partner with all of the other pre-existing agencies. I think Hope House dispelled any lingering misconceptions when we got a call from Mohammed Syed in 2015 to work with the Muslim Society of Guelph and Jim S. Still to bring 75 Syrian families to Guelph. We didn't hesitate to accept that offer and have built ever since then an ever-growing relationship with the Muslim community. For 10 years now, since April 2012, when Hope House was officially registered, Hope House has been living up to its name and helping overcome poverty everywhere.
Well, I'm Pam. I am the founder of Hope Styles. My story starts off 15 years ago when my son committed suicide from bullying. I was nothing anymore. I used to be a wife, a mother, a special needs caregiver. That was all gone from me. I heard about the backpack program. They give backpacks and school supplies to children who are less fortunate, who are our clients, who are our family, who are our base. And I thought, I'll be darned if those babies are going to school without haircuts. They're getting backpacks, they're getting clothes, they're getting school supplies. They need haircuts. Stephen always needed a haircut for the first day of school. So I walked in, and this is what we're going to do. Give me a room. I started with a wooden chair and a little wooden table, and that was it. It was really mind-boggling. I did not realize the need. 40 kids in 8 hours, and just inundated. And I felt like me again. Like I had a life, like I had a purpose. Like there was something other than grief and woulda, coulda, shouldas in life. There was actually hope.
So a couple years ago, Meg Dunning from the downtown Guelph board came to visit us at the salon, and we were just chatting about the downtown and some of the happenings and goings on downtown. And she asked us if we'd be interested in going and looking at Hope House and checking out their hair salon.
Oh, Valentini's, I love Valentini's. Those men are just fantastic. Can't say enough great things about them.
So we went in and took a look at the place and realized that we actually could do some things for them. We just wanted to give Pam a space that she can do her job to the best of her ability.
Valentini's came into my little rink-dink salon, but we started this salon from absolutely nothing. And they walked in and saw the need. It is amazing what a simple cut, blow dry, or just the human touch will do. Just washing somebody's hair. It's simple. And the smile, and a little bit taller and a little bit happier. There was a gentleman that came into my salon. He had the last shot of getting an apartment. He'd been on the streets for a while. He came in to get a new set of clothes, and just by happenstance, poked his head into my salon. I trimmed his beard and gave him a nice haircut and turned him around. Well, when I turned him around, the man actually started to tear up because he hadn't seen his own face in 10 years. That still gets me. That is the sort of impact that the salon gives to people. Hope House has given me back. Without Hope House, I don't know if I would be here. And I don't mean figuratively, I mean literally. Hope House has given me a sense of purpose, a sense of community, a sense of belonging. It helps everyone in the community, from the shop owners to our clients to the crossing guard. It is amazing, truly amazing, when you come in here and you embrace what Hope House means to everyone, how quickly you can find yourself in this situation. How you never ever would have thought, not me. And within a blink of an eye, you can find yourself needing or using or having to access our resources. I couldn't imagine what this city would be like without Hope House.
Many of you may have had the opportunity to meet Pam. Pam, unfortunately, has moved out of our community, but she is continuing her work in her new community. So Guelph is blessed to have strong political representation from all levels of government. Our elected officials are dedicated to making this community a better place and are willing to do the hard work of helping to get us there. It is truly my pleasure to welcome MP Lloyd Longfield, MPP Mike Schreiner, and Mayor Cam Guthrie to the stage. Now, before I give them the mic, I wanted to add to that and say that these three are always willing to work together, and Guelph is better for their efforts to represent us. They have demonstrated time and time again the power of cross-party collaboration is not only possible, but it's beneficial to all. And Hope House has been the beneficiary of this in many things, but most notably, recently, under the Canada Infrastructure Program Community Culture Recreation Fund. Only a government could think of that name. So through this program, $404,000 was given to Hope House to help us deal with the major critical renovations that we needed to do here. So masonry work, the front stairs that are now officially safe to use, and the flat roof. And this wouldn't have been possible without the financial support of both the federal and provincial government, but we also required our municipal government to support the application. And all three stepped up to the plate. So I can say they definitely know how to work together. And I am so confident that they're able to work together today that I'm going to give them the microphone and leave it to them to share.
Sure, he gives it to me first. Well, thank you so much, Jaya. The video that we just watched, and Pam ended the video there with the words, hope I remember them correctly, I can't imagine our city without Hope House. I think that's what she said. I think I probably speak for all of us up here. It's just so beyond true. It's unbelievable. The calls that I sometimes get into my office for people looking for help. Hope House is one of the first agencies that I suggest people come and look at. I'm sure it's familiar with your offices too. The history, Bob, you nailed it pretty well there. Usually when I'm here, I'm back on the drums playing there. So I know the history here too, and it's so wonderful to see this capital campaign come together. Marissa and the board, everyone that's just done a great job to get us here today it's just unbelievable. I just can't thank you enough on behalf of the city and on behalf of council. Just today, as I was walking out of the house, I'm sure maybe everyone, still has a bucket at their front door of masks. I happened to grab this one just out of the bucket as I left. And I saw on it that says, invest in Guelph. And this mask is actually from our economic development team at the city of Guelph. So for welcoming businesses or helping existing businesses to expand. But I can't think of a actually better way of saying invest in Guelph. It has absolutely nothing to really do with economic development, and it has to do with just our community. And when you invest here at Hope House, that is giving back in spades. So thank you so very much. I'll hand it to this guy first.
Always have to be on your toes when you're around camp. And what a story of hope for the community. And I remember Gord and Jaya coming into my office, which was just one or two doors down when I was first elected, and saying, the bricks are falling apart. We need pointing. We need everything. And then the creativity started coming in from Jaya and Gord and the board on how can we access funding and what type of funding for. It's green infrastructure, if that's what we got to call it. It's social infrastructure, if that's what we got to call it. It's something the community needs, and we have to figure out a way to do it together. So from those early conversations to where we are today, and then the community steps forward. And like Guelph always, you open the door partway, and then you got to get out of the way in a hurry because the community comes forward, and definitely came forward in this project. And I always know when Jaya's smiling that this isn't over, and she's always smiling. So I know that we'll all be called on to do more and to help in every way we can. And I know from my side, and I'll also speak from a good friend Dave Rolfe, Dave and Sue are coming over for supper tonight, so I'll be making sure to let him know what stage this project is at if he doesn't already know. But I know that there are people past and present that are cheering from the sidelines and would love to help in any way we can going forward. So thanks to Jaya, to the board, to the team, Gord, all of the work that you've done as well. Now over to Mike.
Ditto. I just want to add a couple things. And so one of the things I want to add is just what a vital work Hope House does for our community. I can't express enough what you do here, Jaya. You, your team, the volunteers. And as Pam said, it's not just for the people you serve, it's for the people who volunteer too. I can't tell you how meaningful it's been for me to be a part of this community. And Gord, I remember, oh my gosh, I don't know, was it 6 years ago maybe? We sat down with Jaya and we started talking about her vision for this place and what it could become. And I just want to say to you and your family, like, just the generous financial contribution you've made. I mean, I know this has been a community effort, and everybody in this community deserves a lot of credit. But you especially, like, your generosity, and not only financially, but I know being a mentor for Jaya has made a huge, huge difference. And I love the vision. I love the vision of alleviating poverty by building community. And if there was ever a moment, I think the last 2 years have really shown how important those community connections are. And to know that you're providing those for the most vulnerable in our community, I think we can all say that we're deeply, deeply grateful. So thank you.
I knew they wouldn't let me down. So at this time, I'm going to talk a little bit about Gord. As an accountant, Gord loves numbers and analysis, but it's truly his love of people that shines through. Gord Barr is deeply committed to seeing people thrive and succeed through the challenges of life. He's a devoted father, husband, grandfather, more recently, which he's super excited about, friend and mentor. I've had the pleasure of working with Gord since 2016 when I joined Hope House, and he's been an exceptional mentor, encourager, and advisor. Gord provides that kind of direction that senior leadership's always looking for, never afraid to tell you the hard facts and have the difficult conversations, but always checks in to make sure you're okay afterwards. And he does. He always calls me back, was I too harsh? And that's how you can really grow, and I've really enjoyed having the opportunity to grow under that mentorship. So it is truly my pleasure to welcome Gord to the stage, and we are going to first celebrate with the sign, and then I'm going to let you speak, Gord. And Alex, you're welcome too.
So I think Alex, we're going to unveil the name of the building of Hope House. So this isn't renaming Hope House, it's naming the building, so everybody knows. And I'll have you unveil it. So. As you can see, it's called the David Barr Memorial Building, and excuse me, there's a plaque as well. I'm not sure where, is it up now? Yeah, so, where is it, John?
Court Street doors.
The other entrance as you walk in. So, we're gonna switch gears a bit and talk a bit about my brother, David. It was the morning of August 3rd, 1992, and I was out of town, and the phone rang early in the morning, and I don't know, I just had this sense, and I kind of said a silent prayer, don't be for me. But it was, and my dad was on the phone and was crying as he told me that my youngest brother, David, had been killed in a car accident. David was the youngest son by many years of Peter and Eileen Barr. They had 4 boys in total: Gordon, John, Stephen, and David. And David came along quite late, and I remember my mom telling me, sorry, I'm just going to start my phone so I don't go too long here, because I've got stories to read and stuff, and I didn't really read it before, because as usual, I'm last minute, but I know it is Paul. Paul is my buddy on the board, and he keeps me straight. So anyhow, when I was on the board. So I remember my mom telling me that her friends were almost telling her sorry that she had another boy because they assumed she wanted a girl. However, my mom distinctly told me that she told them she did not know how to raise a girl since she'd only raised boys, so she was thrilled. When David was killed, my dad asked me if I wanted to speak at David's funeral, but I just wasn't up to it. And I kind of look at this as an opportunity to say my goodbyes, even though it's almost 30 years later. I agonized over what to say, and just wanted to get it right. And then at the end, I decided I was going to read out some of the letters my mom received. She gave each of my brothers and I a book with letters and whatnot of David. So we'll take it away, and hopefully it gives you a bit of a feel for who my brother was and what he meant to not only our family, but to friends and the greater community. It's hard to face the fact that David's gone, that I'll never see him again, that he died. I still have trouble saying that his name and the word dead in the same sentence. It's almost as if I am admitting it's true. And I had trouble with that as well. I relate to the individual who wrote this. It seems that every day goes by, I think about David and the good times, friendship we shared. Everyone who knew David was fond of him, and his spirit lives on. So to remember Dave and his friendship, because it was the greatest gift he was able to give. God knows it was more than enough. Signed, a friend. This is a poem that one of his classmates wrote. The time we had, the games we played, the hours we practiced, the mornings we woke up so early that it hurt, the journeys to the rink and to the fields, damn, those were good times. The late afternoon rugby set practices, the tryouts, the hockey team, the friendly how you doing, the little brown car that always drove teammates to the games, the nickname Digger. And actually one of my other brothers was nicknamed Digger as well. He was always the guy who would be there for you and would not stop digging until that for you whistle went, or when you won the ball. The guy who always was picked first in gym class, the elite, the man, my friend, our friend. The one who never complained or never whined about ice time or a call, the captain in my mind. That's all I'll always remember him. I can see I'm going to have to do this more quickly here. Here's another poem, Too Young. There he stood alone, lost in his thoughts, no one understood. Quiet, intelligent, strong, and he roared. His greatest roar, opponents toppled. He was invincible. We hoped too young. We hoped too young. He stood alone, the man amongst strangers, loved by all. He left, never knowing he wasn't invincible, yet he never stood alone. This one's quite good too. I'm not really sure why I'm writing this to you, except that I just felt that showing you how David touched many lives of people he hardly knew would give you yet one more reason to be immensely proud of him. I'm sure his memory and spirit will some of this grammar's not the greatest, will live out in many ways of our hearts and minds. This is one of my favorites, and the lady who wrote this is in the room. If there's one thing that David could not stop talking about, it was his first niece. He announced he was so proud of her. He told me that he was her favorite uncle, and that she even said his name. I can't remember if she called him Uncle David, or Uncle Dave, but whatever, he adored his niece, and no doubt, loved her very much. The mention of her always brought a warm glow and a sweet smile to Dave's face. Yeah, I'm going to have to stop reading these. Well, I'll read a couple more, but the other thing with that is my son and daughter referred to my parents as Uncle Dave, Grandma, and Grandpa. That's how they distinguished my parents from my wife, Lynn's parents. Also, he wrote 2 essays, and darned if we didn't keep them, but about him being an uncle in high school. So, yeah, he was a great uncle. So this is from David's high school. They just wrote it to me, or sent it to me the other day. David Barr attended high school in the East End of Toronto, Malvern Collegiate Institute from grade 9 to 12. I thank you for letting me represent the Collegiate Alumni Association to share some memories of David's life at Malvern, as have been kindly shared with us. David grew up in Scarborough. He was the youngest of 4 boys. He attended Blantyre School in Malvern. He made Malvern a better place. In his 4 years at Malvern, this is quite something. He played on Malvern sports teams that advanced to the city of Toronto, so the big smoke, in 5 different sports: football, rugby, hockey, basketball, and soccer. Jim, obviously, didn't take after me in hockey. He's a little bit better. Anyways, David treated everybody with respect and kindness. As a result, he was very well liked and is, to this day, remembered fondly by many of his old classmates. Malvern paid tribute to David by dedicating a tree planting and plaque in his honor. On behalf of Malvern's Alumni Association, we thank you. And this is the last one in this, and this is from a friend of David's. I just want to let you know my wife, Holly, and I look forward to attending the ceremony at Hope House on April 30th. David was a very special friend. My oldest son is named after your little brother, Samuel. What a great idea to honor David and your parents' legacy. Your parents truly exemplified loving God and loving your neighbor as yourself. That's the great commandment in the Bible, and it was reflected in David's life. For me, David was born when I was starting high school, and when he was starting kindergarten, I was leaving the house to go to university. So, however, we spent a lot of time together. 3 quick memories. One, we were at a baseball game. This is probably my favorite. So we're sitting there chewing the fat with a couple of guys beside us, and this really good-looking girl comes up the stairs, and the guy turns to me and goes, check this one out, or something like that. And my brother, he was probably 12 at the time, this guy's like 30, he goes, my brother's married, you know. But it showed his strength of character, and he was naive at the same time. It was an incredible mix of character. And one thing I'm really glad I did, I told him I wished I could spend more time with him, but our age difference and where I lived prevented it. Now, we did spend a lot of time together, but I always kind of felt like I could do more, but it just wasn't in the cards. So, in terms of values, I can't think of anyone who demonstrated such depth of character as my brother, and I kind of hope you can see why I think the naming of the building after my brother is fit. So, I'm going to skip the core values, but I hope you can see that my brother exemplifies a similar value system to Hope House, and that's belonging, dignity, and advocacy. I wanted to thank the board of directors for allowing the building to be named after my brother, for the staff and the many volunteers that make Hope House what it is today and what it will be in the future. And in closing, Mom and Dad, this is to my parents, you're both concerned that people would forget David. I never knew how that could ever happen, first of all, but I wanted to let you know that this is my gift to you. I hope it gives you some comfort. David, I kind of doubt that you realize the impact that you had on people. I want you to know that your legacy lives on. Love, Gord.
Thank you so much, Gord. It was so great to get to know David a little bit better, and I did love the stories that you shared and that his friends shared with you. So I'm next going to like to call up Marissa Teeter.
Hi, everyone. I realize that I'm the one standing between you and light snacks, so I take this time slot very seriously. I want to perhaps start by introducing myself. My name is Marissa Teeter, and more importantly than most of the roles in my life, I am a huge supporter of this amazing community that we live in, and I'm also the chair of the Capital Campaign Cabinet. I've had the fortune of leading this campaign over the last couple of years, and it's been such a pleasure. I remember when Jai and I sat down for coffee, it seems like many moons ago, when she asked me to take on this role, which if any of you know Jaya, which clearly you all do, it's very hard to say no to her. So of course I said yes, but fortunately that's been the ultimate theme of this campaign over the last couple of years, is that people have just said yes. And that is why it has brought us to where we are here today. But imagine when we agreed to take on this campaign, and I was so fortunate enough to amass and bring together some remarkable individuals to build out this cabinet with me. All of a sudden the pandemic hits, and you think, well, how are we gonna run this campaign during a pandemic? Especially when a pandemic magnified the reasons why you needed to raise this money. It magnified the fact that we needed this more in our community than ever before. And I won't get into the stats, but let's just say that the pandemic really tested Hope House and really created immense need. And these are needs by people in our community. Sometimes the people that we show up at soccer practice with, or people who are sitting next to us at work, who are just adversely affected. And so one of the things we set out to do very early on with this campaign was, yes, we had a dollar amount that we were gonna raise, but more important than that, we wanted to bring this community together. And we wanted to give everyone in this community the ability to leave their mark on this campaign. So if you donated $1 or if you donated thousands of dollars, you were ultimately going to be connected to this amazing cause. And I am so proud to say that today, after 2.5 long years, we have successfully raised, we didn't raise $2 million, we actually raised almost $2.5 million. And in addition to raising money, we've made new friends. We've connected with new donors in this community. We've launched new initiatives, we've found new efficiencies, we've found ways to be creative and to do good and to do it better and to do more of it. We've had to pivot in the biggest way possible, but that's made us better and stronger. And as was mentioned earlier, you know, we're celebrating today, we're wrapping up this particular campaign, but our good work continues. There's more work to be done, there's more impact to be had. And I want to take a minute to acknowledge a few people, because although I had the honor to lead this group, I want to say, first of all, Jaya, your leadership in this organization is remarkable. Yes. And the most amazing thing about Jaya is that her leadership extends so far outside of this organization. Your ability to collaborate and work with all the other programs in this community is your gift. You do such an amazing job at that, and I, you know, I honestly have to say that I feel like Jaya could have single-handedly fulfilled this entire campaign mandate by herself. That's how remarkable she is, and I feel like we were just along for the ride sometimes. But your leadership was amazing, your friendship is incredible, and it was really wonderful to be able to work with you. I also want to acknowledge the other 9 people, and some of you are in the room today, so I'm really going to put you on the spot and make you stand up. If you're here, Brett Robinson, you were here, Jason Ashdown, Ariana Christie and Mike Christie, Matt Nelson, Eve Claxton, Tracy Curtis, Tessa Campen, and Carla Diaz. The amazing thing about these people is that Hope House is not the only charity that they support. It's not the only community initiative they are a part of. Like many of you in this room, and I recognize a lot of these faces, you have your hands in so many different efforts and initiatives. And I want to say thank you to you both. And I want to say thank you to this entire community for everything that you've done to make this happen. And we look forward to continuing to collaborate and continuing to do great work going forward. So thank you so much to all of you, and let's celebrate, because this is a big deal. Thank you, everybody.
So we're almost at the end of our ceremonies today. And first I just wanted to thank Marissa for capturing the success of the Capital campaign. I also wanted to express my appreciation to all the cabinet members for all the different ways they contributed. Each of you found a way to contribute during a global pandemic, and so you got some creative in different ways. So we appreciate you and thank you so much. But as we conclude, I want to thank you for attending. Thank you for every part that you contributed to this community in all the different ways. I want to let you know that there is coffee and tea and cookies at the side available for you. So it's important, I think, in these times to spend time together, chatting with each other. But even more than that, every 5 minutes for those who are interested, there will be a tour going on through Hope House. You can see what happens. And then there's also a little gift that we have at the front for you from the Better Food Company. So thank you so much for being here today, and thank you for celebrating with us.